1950s farmhouse. And these cabinets up on the top by the ceiling, I never know what to do with. So I have all of these empty jars that are waiting to be filled after harvest time in the spring. And I'm about to start seeds, so I wanted to see how these would look in the kitchen in those little cubbies. So I have all of these rings on this pole that go to the jars, so I thought that I would take those rings and go ahead and put them on the jars, so the jars and the rings would already be in the kitchen when I'm ready to pull those down and get them cleaned and sterilized and ready for canning. So what I'm doing here is just putting the tops on these jars. Some of them have lids, so I just left those lids on, but most of them did not have lids, so I just put on the rings and got ready to move all of those into the kitchen. I just used a sheet pan and filled up the sheet pan. I think it held like 12 of the jars, and then carried them into the kitchen, which is just right on the other side of this wall, and put them on the counter. And I wanted to get all of them in there before I decided to put them all up. That way I could just get on the ladder, or Mark could get on the ladder, and I could just hand them to him and he could, stack them inside the cabinet, so we weren't up and down on the ladder a million times. So I just brought them in the kitchen, placed them on the counter, and got ready to put them up in that little cubby that I have absolutely no idea what the people that built this house used that for, unless it was storage. But they didn't have cabinet doors, so we just went ahead and decided to use it for these jars. And we have hundreds of jars, so we wound up not being able to fit all of them up there. The smaller jars that are the little half pints and the quarter pints, we weren't able to fit up there. But we did get all of the pints and the quarts we were able to fit up there. So now this is the empty space where the jars were, and I'm able to use this space now for some of my supplies that I use, my sewing machine stuff, these are my seed organizers. These plastic containers are things that we've bought at Costco that had salad or croissants or berries, whatever in them, but they are perfect to use as greenhouse, little greenhouses. So that's what I'm going to use those for, and then hopefully I won't damage them and I can save them and use them again when I start some more seeds that are going to go out into the garden after frost. But I have these empty shelves, and these are the lids that were on some of the jars when I just put away leftovers in a jar or something like that. We use our jars for everything, but this is what it looks like when this is done. I keep my Dutch ovens up on that top shelf and my fermentation crocks. We have 2 of those. And then this is what it looks like with all the jars stored up in that top cabinet that we have no idea what to do with. So we don't really put anything up there. So this has been a great use of space for these, because today is January 10th and it's time to start seeds. So, well, some seeds, not all the seeds, but it's time to start some seeds. So now what we'll do is use some of that extra space that we freed up from these jars being on the shelf in the canning room to use for our seed trays. So I'll have some extra space to use that for seed trays and some things that some tools and stuff that I use to start seeds. But I feel like that this turned out really beautiful. I don't mind the jars being in the kitchen, up on this shelf and out where everyone can see them. I think they're beautiful. And it is a farmhouse, and it makes sense to us to have these jars in the kitchen where I can get to them.